Today, I would like to talk about the Tetragrammaton. The Tetragrammaton is YHVH. YHVH. In a witch's primer, we have 4 weeks of building your power body. It's the fire body, the water body, the air body, and the earth body. And the way we work, the way I interpret the Tetragrammaton, the first letter, Yud, corresponds to the fire body. The first He, the second letter, corresponds to the water body, Yud He. Vav corresponds to the air body, and the last He corresponds to the earth body. So Yud He Vav He. And you can think of that, you don't want to think of the problem with the Tetragrammaton is that it's been indoctrinated for so many centuries that is some sort of male deity named Yahweh. It can be that. It can be that. But it's not that the way we look at it magically. Okay, it's not a deity. It's the creative force of the universe. And one of the reasons why it organizes itself into those 4 letters in that order is because that's the order of creation as we understand it in this particular system of magic. There are many different ways to look at this magically too. This is not the one and only true way. So the Yud He Vav He, fire, water, air, earth, is how we manifest things with magic. Now, it's interesting that if you look at what the things mean, the first letter, Yud, represents a hand. And then He represents a window. Vav represents a peg or a nail. And then the final He represents a window again. So it's hand, window, peg, window. And this is giving you a formula for magic. How to combine your 4 bodies that you've built in a witch's primer into one powerful formula for manifesting anything you need or want in your life. All right, so Yud, the fire, the hand, is the will, your will to achieve something. So whatever that happens to be. Let's say you needed something real practical. Let's say you needed a brand new computer. The first letter, the Yud, represents your will and desire for that thing. So you have to know what you want. And it's that creative impulse, that creative desire to achieve something or to create something magically. That's that first letter. That's that fire. It's your will to make it happen. And think about what we do in a witch's primer when we build that body. We work our will so that our will is honed and focused. And by the sheer power of our will, we feel like we can make anything happen at all. And so your desire for that computer is a sacred, holy desire. And you have to see it that way. And it's the will of God, if you will, for you to have that computer. That's the mindset. It's not just my will. It's not just my desire, but the entire will of the creation of the universe is for me to have that computer. It's a sacred desire. It's a holy desire. It's the hand of God, if you will, that is bringing me my computer. That's that fire body. That's that first letter, the Yud. Now, the first He, the second letter, represents a window. Now, that window represents your water body. Now, think of water as a reflection. So that first window is more like a mirror, of you emotionalizing it and contemplating it and realizing your desire emotionally. The fire and the water started out as pure will, but now that will is also being reflected in that window, reflected in that pool, reflected in that mirror, if you will, as an emotion. And think about when you are trying to manifest something through magic, that will has to also be accompanied by an emotionalized version of the will. Will by itself doesn't have as much potency unless it has its female counterpart, which is the emotional body. Now think of what you do in a witch's primer when you build that emotional body, that water body. You have to be with your emotions, right? You have to really make friends with your emotions. You have to learn how to feel at a very deep level. And in magic, what we have to learn how to do is conjure emotions at will. So our will accompanied with the emotionalization of our desire, the realization of our desire. So what is it about that computer that is evident in your feeling body, in your emotional body? Where do you feel it? What is the desire? What is that emotion? And you have to allow yourself to conjure that emotion, to build up that emotion for that hey, that first hey, is that ability to emotionalize it in the context of your will. Now, as you do that, as you emotionalize what it is that you want and you make it real emotionally for yourself and you really build that emotion, your will and your emotion, your fire body and your water body are thereby interacting with one another. And that's the same kind of interaction that the universe has when it creates itself. You're doing it on a microcosm. You're interacting that male side of you with that female side of you in your mind, that will and the emotion together. And you are, by doing that, creating a response, creating a reaction. And what is it that happens when water and fire go together, when they interact with one another? They create steam or vapor or air, which is the Vav, that third letter, that Vav. That's the peg. That's the nail. Think of it as a peg. You have to be able to, a lot of times when people think of the air body, they think of vapor as being very without form. It sort of just goes everywhere. And it can, but it can't magically. You have to condense the vapor. Think about a steam engine or a pressure cooker. You have to peg the vapor. You have to condense that vapor. That's that third step there, that third part of the formula is being able to formulate a vision of your desire. You have to see it condensing. That's that peg, seeing the vapor condensing into clear vision of what it is that you decide that you want. Now, a lot of people get tripped up on this part of it because we talk a lot about things like creative visualization, and some people feel like they can't visualize, and so therefore they can't do magic. You visualize in your way. You may not notice the way that you visualize, but whatever you do when somebody's telling you a story, whatever you do when you're reading a story, that's your way of visualizing. You do some form of visualization, whether or not you see it visually, like as a picture or not. You do have the ability to formulate an image of what you desire in one way or another. And that is exactly what we're doing in the third step of the formula. But we're doing it in such a way that's condensing our will and our emotionalization of that desire, that will and that desire, that emotionalization of that into a blueprint, into an image of our desire. And we keep feeding it more and more and more fire, more water, more vapor, condensing on that peg. We're condensing. And then what happens is, as that's condensed more and more, a distillation occurs. And what's refined out of that is the final hey, the earth body. And that is the manifestation of what you want. Think about if you were creating some essential oil. You'd have to have the raw flowers, and then you put some water in there. You'd bring it up to a boil. You'd condense the steam, and then you'd have to separate the essential oil out of the steam. And then you'd be left over with just that essential oil. That is exactly what we do anytime we work magic. We are distilling our desire into realization. So it's no longer just a desire. It's no longer just a wish. It's no longer just a concept or a visualization or an emotional idea. It is a realization. And that's that final hey. And that's a different window. The window of that final hey, even before it manifests, is you have to see it as manifest. You have to see through that window. It's no longer a mirror. It's now you're looking through the window at the final manifestation of that which you desire. And you want to be able to become one with it. You want to be able to realize it as if it's already happened. It's more than faith at this point. It's absolute certainty that what you desire is happening. In fact, you can see it as if it's already happened. You realize it. You interact with it as if it's already there. And that window that you're looking out at your desire as it's manifesting, the way to speed that up is through gratitude. Being grateful for it as if it's already happened. That tells your deep mind, oh, this thing's happened. So there's no more resistance to it. It just accepts it. And then that manifestation is a given. So going through that Tetragrammaton as a practical magical formula is the same thing in a way as using your four bodies together in consort to create something, regardless of what you do in the physical world when you're casting the spell. You might work mentally, you might work with talismans, you might work with other kinds of tools or implements to help keep track of what you're doing. And that's really all a spell is it's stuff that we use to keep track of what we're doing in our mind, because that 4 steps has to be followed. And a lot of times we don't call it that. We don't call it the Tetragrammaton formula, but you still have to go through that. You still have to go through fire, water, air, earth to get what you want. And so when you think of it in terms of what the Tetragrammaton is, you're thinking, wow, I'm creating in the same exact way as the universe creates. I'm starting off with a desire. I'm starting off with a let there be. Let there be a computer. And then you start to emotionalize that computer. That's where you separate the earth from the firmament. Those mists to come out of that emotionalization. Your fire body and your water body start to interact. That will with the emotions start to interact. That vapor comes off of it. And your goal there is to not just let the vapor come off of it. You need to peg the vapor. You need to nail the vapor. You need to condense the vapor. You need to keep it clear in your mind what you want. You condense that vapor and you start to see it formulating through that window in your mind, through the window of your mind where you see it clearly. And it's more than just visualizing it at that point. You know that it's there. And like I said, the way that you can really get that moving even faster is through gratitude. I'm so grateful this is here. This is already here. I'm giving gratitude for what's already happened. I'm so grateful for that computer. I can see it. It's here. It's manifest. It's mine. And then it's just a matter of, once you have that certainty, of letting it go. That's when you just let it go. That's the day of rest, if you will. The 7 days, that's the day of rest. It's just like, it's happening. I don't have to do anything. It's already done. I'm grateful for it. It's happened. Whew, I'm just going to take it easy. And then it'll come when you least expect it. Like Dr. Murphy used to say, it's like toast popping out of a toaster. When you let go of it, when you don't think about it anymore, after you've done the formula and you let go of it, it manifests usually when you least expect it. But if you're always looking around the corner, always looking under the hood, always wondering when's it coming, you tend to keep it at bay. You need to take your mind off of it once you've done the formula, once you've created that desire formulaically. Then you need to let go of it, because if you don't let go of it, you're keeping it at bay. I didn't really get into an argument. Somebody tried to get themselves into an argument with me once online, where I was encouraging, letting go of your spell once you've really completed it. Once you've gotten that click, you've gotten the click that it's happened, you got to forget about it. They're like, oh no, you can never forget about it until it manifests. And I thought to myself, I bet you never have anything manifest if that's the way you feel about it. Because every single time I have ever not let go of a spell, it's never come about, or it's been very lacking in potency. But part of the discipline is being able to forget about it completely, and then it surprises you. It just comes out of nowhere. I was doing that just the other day. I was trying to get something to happen, and I kept checking on it, and it died. I mean, it literally died on the vine. And I thought, okay, I'm going to start this over again. And I did it all. I did all my steps. And then I said, I'm not going to check on it. I'm just going to forget about it. And I literally just went to bed. And I woke up the next morning and there it was. It was there like nothing the next morning, just out of the blue, right there waiting for me when I woke up. In working this Tetragrammaton, or this power body method, working that formula of the Tetragrammaton, is once you're done, once you've got that last window, that final window where you know it's there, and you're grateful for it being there, and you're so happy that it's there, you got to let it go. You've got to let it go. And then that release of it is magnetic. It comes to you. It can't help it. It's like you couldn't stop it if you tried at that point. I had somebody also the other day say, I did one of your spells and it worked so well, but how do I reverse it? I realized I didn't really want what I wanted. And I said, well, that's the problem. That's the problem is when you put this much power into something, it will manifest. And so then you're going to have to do a banishing on that, and you're going to have to banish it if you really don't want it. You got to be clear that you really want what you want. But remember the old adage: be careful of what you ask for, you might get it. And with magic, that goes, double, triple, quadruple, because when you work a formula like this, your success is assured. So make sure you know what you want, and then go for it. And then if you get something that you don't want, you're going to have to banish it, because that's how powerful it is. It's very, very powerful. So Yud, He, Vav, He. Fire, water, air, earth. Hand, window, peg, window. That's the formula. The hand of God, or the hand of you, that your godliness, your spirit, your will, your divine will, your true will to create something is the fire body. Your emotion and desire for that thing is the water body. Those things, you keep moving and interacting with those two things, and out of those two things come the vapor, which is the design for what you want, the image of what you want. And you keep condensing that image and condensing that image and condensing that image until it manifests on the astral as a double, as something that you know that it's there. You can see it so clearly and feel it so succinctly that it has manifest, to the point where you're grateful for it already being there. And then you forget about it completely. You drive it out of your mind. Sometimes you need to repeat this, daily, and that's multiple day spells. We've talked about that before. You can do multiple day spells. And when you're working this formula, you can work it in the context of other kinds of spell work. You don't have to only work mentally, like we said. You can do things in the physical world that help you to keep track of what you're working on. So you can work talismanic magic, you can work puppet magic, you can work candle magic, you can work all kinds of magic if you understand that those things are simply keeping track of this single formula, which is fire, water, air, earth. All of those bodies that in a witch's primer you work so hard to build, then you want to pull them together, and that's represented in the Hermetic Kabbalah by the Tetragrammaton. Yud, He, Vav, He. Hand, window, peg, window. All right? So I hope that was interesting for you. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. Much love and many, many blessings.